would like to start with a huge applause for everybody in here for the great work you've done. And it's really important to mention that it was almost impossible to announce the finalists and the winners because the scorings have been extremely close in most categories. And we would also like the ones that don't make it in the finals, to keep up their good work, work on a report, and you'll get short feedback on your presentation and on your code. Next week, a very short feedback, and then a more extended feedback on your reports at the end of the semester. Yeah, you can when you can announce the finalists of your. Okay. So I would like from every category to one judge to come forward. So that you can announce the winners of your present category. But first of all, I would like to hand over the word to Dirk Helbing to say some greetings from the organizer at COS.
Yeah, so I'm really amazed that the room is still full by the end of this week. So you've been working extremely hard. I've seen that, where you've been sitting in all those different rooms. And we have been really amazed about the outcomes of this school, the hackathon. And so we're even more excited to see the presentation. It was very hard to narrow down the 26 projects to 16. And we'll have to figure out who will be the 8 finalists. I'd like to repeat that I think this is a very important technology for the future. This can help to solve various problems of the world, from energy to sustainability and many more. And yeah, you should be going on with this and stay in touch with us. We'll have another version of this in a year's time, but in the meantime we may have a couple of master theses and other theses together with you, so that would be absolutely amazing.
So just to be clear about it once again, we're going to have 16 finalists in different categories and 8 winners in the end, but the 8 winners will only be announced after the presentations and the second round of judging. But now let's start with the first category. I would like somebody from BIOTS from the Everywhere Energy category to come here quickly to announce it. Dennis.
All right. Hi everyone. Thanks so much for your work over those couple last days. The finalist for our category, the first one, Everywhere Energy, is Project Less.
Okay. For the second category from BIOTS, Merger and Acquisition, Geneviève, would you come here quickly?
Thank you very much. Yes, it was not so difficult. I knew. The winner is? Finalist, sorry. Finalist, sorry.
Transformer.
Yes.
So in these two categories we had one submission only, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean that the quality is less than in other projects. This is just how it happened to be. We would anyway then move on to the third category of BIOTS, Virtual Energy, where we had 5 contesters and 3 of them will be in the finals. Please, Anina, could you announce the finalists from BIOTS Everywhere Energy, Virtual Energy?
Yeah, thanks a lot to everybody who has chosen our challenge. And the finalists would be Current TC, Energy Online, and Ubiqui.
Thank you. Then for the UBS challenges, Beat or Benjamin, or both of you, please. For the first one, tracking and alerting, it's Beat from the jury. Again, here we have a similar situation as before.
Yes, but nevertheless, it was very exciting to see the input which came. So we have Blackbox Pro.
And for the second challenge from UBS Gender Equality, it was
B-Quality.
Thank you very much. So these teams were lucky that they chose these challenges that weren't very contested. But anyway, we're looking forward to your presentations. Then we come to the two future ICT challenges. The first one, the token creator, where we had 3 submissions with 2 finalists. Marcus, please.
Before we reveal that, so Future ICT 2, both challenges attracted quite a few people, quite a few teams. You will see in a minute, the list is quite long. So we discussed because there were really many excellent submissions. And it's a competition, and competitions are like that. There are winners and finalists, so we couldn't invite all of you today here. But what we would like to do is to invite everyone who participated in the Future ICT 2 challenge to meet us for a meetup. We will invite you maybe 2 weeks from now or something, to just meet all together, discuss again a little bit, and see where we can work in the future if you're interested. So you're cordially invited, because 100 people invested a week in this project, and thanks a lot, no matter who will win at the end. Thanks a lot. With this, I would like to reveal the 2 finalists for the token creator category, and they are eMine1 and MobChain. Congratulations. And now the longest list for today, the token obtainer list. Please, Stefan. We congratulate Change, Favelinia Chain, Food Saviors, Spectre Sustainable Phone Contract Recycle Token, and Symbiotic to be the finalists for this category. Congratulations, and see you in the presentations.
So this one was very contested, and also the decision was very difficult, but this is just how it looks today, and we're looking forward to the finalists. And last but not least, the open challenge. There we had 4 submissions with 2 finalists that we chose, and the 2 finalists here were Hux for Box and Jason Chain. We'll then directly start with the presentations. We'll go from presentation to presentation, from category to category. So it means we'll start with the category 1, Everywhere Energy, with the presentation from Project Less, please. So could the group Project Less come here very quickly and give their 5-minute pitch? Thank you. Oh, he's in the bathroom. Oh, I heard that they're having a bathroom problem. So we'll then switch orders and would start directly with EWZ 2, Merger and Acquisition. So please, Merger and Acquisition Transformers, please come here for your 5-minute pitch. No, you have to plug in yours.
Our computer.
Yeah. Are you from M&A Transformer? So please, M&A Transformers, can you quickly come here? We don't have much time to lose. We have 1 minute for everybody to get installed. Hat er nie?
Wahrscheinlich, ja, irgendwo.
Okay, your 5 minutes. Are you ready?
How do I wear this?
You don't have to wait because you have to pass it on yet.
Okay.
Okay, it starts now. 5 minutes.
Hello. I welcome you to our presentation. Our challenge was the EWZ merger and acquisition challenge, which we can see in a second, hopefully. Yes, okay. So actually, EWZ has to move out of nuclear energy until 2034 and move to sustainable energy. And nowadays, this is 40% of their energy providing. So they want to buy projects, wind and solar projects. EWZ wants to buy them, EPCs wants to sell them, and they're connected via the broker. Banks and private equity basically finance the project like this. So you see, this is a very complex system, and we try to make some abstraction in order to solve this problem. Nowadays, EPCs put a lot of data in the data room for the acquisitions. The EWZ has to make a due diligence on that data and also on the EPCs in order to make a decision to buy. Banks and private equity have to finance the solar projects or the wind projects and also have to do a due diligence of the EPCs. So you can see there's multiple due diligences on all levels. Now the EWZ wants trustworthy data in a good manner presented. The banks want reliable data about the EPCs in order to, about sustainability, environmental friendly and labor aspects. And the EPC wants financing with good conditions. Now we thought of a solution for that.
So basically, what we are trying to do here is the idea is to introduce a token-based economy. The issuer in this case would be the EWZ, which is the buyer in this case. So for every exchange between these three entities, tokens would be exchanged. So the initiation point would be the buyer. They are going to exchange tokens for the information they are going to collect from EPCs. The thumb rule would be more reliable the information or the data, more tokens would be issued to this party. And what is it in trust of EPCs are the easy financing conditions from the bank, because normally it's quite difficult for EPCs to get the fundings for their projects. So they are always running after the banks. So the concept or the idea here we want to introduce is that more tokens they issue to the banks, it means more credible these guys are, and banks will offer them the more easy conditions for the financing. And similarly, on the other side, banks would actually get the information from EWZ, and EWZ will provide the information on EPCs in terms of various parameters like sustainability, governance, labor laws, and how well they are adhering to all these aspects in terms of building those projects, the renewable projects. So this information which banks get from the EWZ, banks are going to exchange this information in terms of tokens, which is going to complete the loop. And the advantage here for the banks is that they do their own due diligence on EPCs, which is separate to what EWZ does on the EPCs. So we are trying to here combine two sets of informations which can actually help banks to reduce their efforts on due diligence. We can see at what stages within this M&A transaction those tokens would be initiated from EWZ. So at different stages in that M&A transaction, what would be the preliminary data phase, and second would be the due diligence. Now we can move on to the potential of disruption. I'll hand it over to my colleague.
Yes, thank you. Now, using these new technologies are fine, but at first stage we have to look at the business value. What value will add this new technology to our ecosystem in the energy sector? It introduces accountability, transparency, and the trust in this complex M&A process. Further, it promotes environment-friendly and sustainable business practices, because the EPCs are they are gaining incentives that they will promote sustainable solutions which will contribute to our environment. And further, it eliminates intermediaries, because smart contracts are executed on a special snapshot in time. So that means we build a scalable platform which is able to onboard energy buyers and create a stable place.
Yeah, you can unplug the...
One quick question from a jury while we set up the next team, Les from the Energy Everywhere channel. One quick question here.
Yes. Implementation. How far did we get with the implementation?
Sorry, could you please repeat the question? We had the blocks for the entities, and we were able to create a token that could be exchanged between the three entities, but we could not establish a safe rule that can actually run the entire exchange. We could exchange between the three, but we could not drive full business case end to end, which would drive with IoT integration and sensors integration. So with respect to this token framework, we basically, from the company perspective, we created the token. We our token generation on ERC20 standards. Then we had the framework to accept the data hashes from the EPCs and issue the token. We, from the EPC side, we created, we use IPFS to create the hash.
Okay, short answer. Thank you very much. Good. Then we'll go directly to the Project Less presentation, the finalists from the Everywhere Energy Challenge. Your time starts now.
So, hi everybody. I'm sorry for my delay. I was on the toilet because I drank too much of this delicious iced tea. I'm sorry. So, welcome to the Project Less. Less stands for Local Energy for a Sustainable Society. And I will explain in the next few minutes what this means. So, our concept was we tried to solve the problem that we have in Switzerland, like that there are like solar plants you want to install on your roof are a bit too much, too expensive, and there is a lot of process going on that you install. So our solution was to create a platform, a fundraising and like a dividend system where investors can invest their money in such projects. It works like we have investors, they invest Ether on a smart contract and get some share tokens for this. Once there is enough money raised for one project, EVZ gets the Ether and can build this project at the owner's house. Then when the whole system is running, the system provides some power tokens out and gives them in the same amount to the investors how they invest their money. And finally, the investors can trade their power tokens with EVZ back to Ether. So what are the potentials for this society? So individuals are more likely to build like small size solar power plants on their roof or like heat pumps in their houses. Investors are receiving money from their shares, so they're not just investing money and get nothing from it. So this incentivizes the investors to invest their money in those projects. I forgot before, those shared tokens can also be traded like assets between different investors. So this gives great opportunities to like, okay, I invest now and in 10 years I sell them. And EVZ can expand its territory even to places where they don't manage the infrastructure, because they can set up the project in this region and sell the power they produce to the local energy supplier. The remaining questions we have is like, how can we implement like technically an easy way to acquire customers outside of this territory, because with our our technical implementation at the moment, it's like a lot of work to do for EVZ to implement such systems outside of their territory. It is possible to adapt our smart meters, to our system. So, like in the power plant, you have those smart meters, and they have to be compatible and share those power tokens. So, potential problems there, like when you don't have enough investors, the whole system is not working. So you can't build your solar power plant or something like this. And you have exploits like overflows and rounding errors, which can be used from third parties to get an amount of tokens out of it. Room for improvement is we wanted to use an oracle to update the exchange rates between Ethereum and like real money, and the day and night prices in energy. And eventually we want to implement this whole technology on a private blockchain. So in the end, I have a little simulation of our simulation of our website. 30 seconds. Okay, I give quite a lot. So you can invest how much Ether you want. Yeah, that's the first GIF, and the second GIF is here you see like the one owner, one investor, and he has like 17,000 energy tokens and invested $4,000.
Thank you very much. Okay, if there is one short question from the jury, please in the audience stay quiet while we change up here so you can hear the question. Is there a question, quick one? Please.
You have designed two tokens, and one token actually closes the circle, the power token, but the S, I don't get it.
Please currency, make yourself ready.
What do the investors do with the S, the red S token here?
So they can share, they can trade them, but the share tokens are important for the second smart contract on the power plant to pay out the power tokens in the right amount.
So there should be another arrow showing the...
Yeah,
okay.
kind of.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you. So we come to the, if it's at virtual energy stream, where we start with currency. So let me start the timer. You're ready to go now.
Okay, hello everyone. Mattis and I received the honor to briefly bring across the central ideas of currency, which is a solution approach to the third EWZ challenge. Let's directly move to the core of our project, which is the virtual energy storage, a storage that is recorded by a blockchain, so a safe mean to record data. The thing is that every EWZ customer receives a virtual energy storage account, and well, let's move to another central part of our project, which is that consumers are now not only staying consumers, but they are moving to be producers of energy as well. And therefore, we introduced a model where energy producers, so owners of PV modules and wind power plants, together invest into such power plants and feed energy into the EWZ grid. All this energy consumption and production is measured by smart meters, which feed the data into the blockchain. And then after a certain time period, which in our case could be, for example, 1 year, the whole thing is settled, which means that there can be either a cash flow from EWZ to the EWZ customer, or a flow into the other direction. Now, let's point out some advantages of this system. We think that if customers are able to invest into renewable energy possibilities, they are more willing to invest, and we will have a lot more renewable energy sources that feed energy into our grid. Now, for EWZ, we think that the virtual storage is a good business model, and we think that the blockchain is a good mean to store data because that is safe on the blockchain. Now, Mattis will introduce you to the technology behind.
So since we didn't actually have an actual smart meter to interact with, we built a small JavaScript web front end just to demonstrate what we could do. So now what you're seeing is what, for example, EWZ would see. We can register a smart meter, so we can tell the smart contract that this address is trusted, so that it's allowed to actually post information about consumption and production. We can assign that meter to user address, so just if that smart meter says, hey, I consumed X amount of energy, then this customer will be built. We can also register a smart meter as part of a power plant, so it's allowed to produce energy. And as Luca already told you, we have the possibility to share that energy production among multiple users. So for example, this first user has a share of 30%. We can add a second user with a share of 70%, for example, now. To simulate how the smart meter would interact with the blockchain, we're now going to switch the address to that of the smart meter we previously registered. Now we're going to simulate a production of 2,000 watt hours. And we can now, when we switch back to the first user, we'll see that he or she gets 30% of that produced 2,000 watt hours, which results in 600 watt hours. We can switch back to the second user with a share of 70% to see that they've received a net budget of 1,400 watt hours. We can also simulate consumption. So when we switch back to the smart meter and simulate a consumption of, let's say, 1,000 watt hours, we can see that the first user has been deduced 1,000 watt hours, so their net energy budget will now be negative. And that's about all the time we have. Thank you very much.
Next team that should be ready is Energy Online. Is there one question, quick question? Andre?
How do you work with the volatility of the token? So you said there's going to be buyback possibility.
Yeah.
So somebody can get out, so how do you...
Energy Online?
How do you will handle the volatility of token prices versus...
In our approach, the token is directly coupled to the amount of power. So it's actually
Hi, we're Team Energy Online. This is Michael, I'm Simon. We show you our project. It's about the virtual energy storage for the sponsor EWZ. So we have the problem that today we have the energy produced is made of 40% of nuclear power. And by the end of 2034, there must be, the goal is to have nuclear energy of 0%. So therefore, all the rest must be provided by sustainable energy. So the growth today of renewable energies is very difficult. So the incentives are not very good or not really interesting. So to invest and the storage is pretty difficult, is expensive, and it's some kind of dangerous if you have it at home. So we provide a solution that creates an incentive system for growing renewable energies in form of a DAO. And we store the right of obtaining energy as a token. The DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. This is a system that sells an electricity surplus made of sustainable energy sources and sell the surplus and create a profit. You see that from here. This is the system. The surplus is sold via an energy market, creates profit, and all the profits are will be brought by subsidies to households that do not have yet a sustainable energy source. And with having such an energy source, they may enter the system. The subsidies, as I mentioned, are going to the households to get also more prosumers. The more prosumers you have, the more green energy will be produced, and the bigger is the surplus. All transactions in this system are based on smart contracts. Every household gets a token, and the token gets the right to obtain energy. So, for example, you get the token during the day if you provide solar energy to the system, and you can use the energy during night, giving a token. So the token gives the right to obtain energy, as I mentioned, and the token is therefore somehow kind of a virtual storage of energy.
Thanks. Okay, let's move on to the disruption potential. From our point of view, it's a quite big potential that this idea has. The power suppliers, they would lose their monopolistic positions. They will be just a participant as everybody else as well, also as households. This system would enable peer-to-peer trading without cantonal borders. Currently, this is not possible. All the energy needs to be sold for very cheap rates to the electricity providers. And from our point of view, the DAO is the most efficient way to have a self-growing system of renewable energies. This DAO, in addition, could act as kind of a virtual power plant for energy suppliers, and they could buy energy from this DAO. As I already mentioned, EWZ and also other energy providers, they will just be a participant in the DAO, and in addition, they could provide solar cells to the system, they could provide smart meters, or they could charge fees for the usage of their grid. But their business model would completely change. Difficulty we thought of was that we need really secure smart meters, and also the information transfer needs to be secured. And there's also legal uncertainty. There are certificates needed that tell that this energy was created by renewable sources. The token qualification must be clarified, and also the legal form of this DAO somehow. We created a software demo, quick one, which is able to perform transactions between households, so the peer-to-peer trading aspect. Here we have a user, it's this household here, he has a certain balance, and he's able to request energy or feed energy into the system. Every household has a smart meter which acts as a kind of a digital accountant. It records if the household sells energy to the system, or the household produces, consumes energy if he has a shortage. Here you can see that, for example, this household was buying 10 kilowatt hours. So that's it from our side, and we're happy for your questions.
Thank you.
there one quick question. So while the next group, YubiKey, is already preparing. Andre again?
You mentioned the certification, how to understand when the power comes in. What was the thought process there?
Could you move on?
What was that? Did you already come up with something about that? You know, like how you would solve that?
Actually, it's already solved. So we have a provider, it's called Tonova, that was, I think, Swisscript's company. Is there a trust issue regarding these certificates? And we thought, up to now, I mean, it's also a monopoly. Only Tonova is the only provider of such certificates, and therefore, I mean, is there a possibility to change it if it's a monopoly and it's legal established? So we focused on the whole system, how we can totally change the system, and that was our focus also to gain much more sustainable energy and really to disrupt the whole system. That was our idea. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll start with the next team. 5 minutes, start now.
I hope everybody can hear me. We are a YubiKey, which is short for ubiquitous energy. So our aim is to provide virtual energy storage for prosumers specifically, so that they can use energy anywhere and anytime, wherever they are. And we are doing this through decentralized energy marketplaces. So we start with the prosumers, and we will see that in the next coming years, there will be more and more of these prosumers who are putting in energy into the network. The problem that they face today is that their battery storage systems are very expensive, and due to this, they don't have the flexibility to use their stored energy whenever they want, or wherever they want. Another problem is that feed-in tariffs today are very low, and they are set to go down over the next years, which means that there is little incentive for these prosumers to actually feed it into the grid. Now, taking the utilities perspective, because of these lack of incentives, if these users move out of the grid, what happens to the utility? The utility starts to lose revenue costs. The large generators may go uneconomical, and they may not earn any revenue. So what we think is that a virtual energy storage solution on the blockchain could connect these two entities and help them to come together and find solutions which ensures reliability and efficiency of the network and perfect incentives so that every party is profiting from the situation. How do we do this? So we start with the prosumer who has smart meters and Internet of Things technology. We have the utility, and we have the cloud. Now we want to be able to store energy from the utility, from the house to the cloud. We build a smart contract, and it is important to know that AVITSET would be the owner of the contract. The two purposes of this contract are to collect all the data from these houses, from this house as well as other houses, get a market clearing. So get all the bids, get all the supply and demand, clear the market, and fix the price for energy. The second purpose is when the demand actually happens, when the reality actually happens, what it does is it calculates the rewards and sends the energy in the form of tokens. The important thing to notice here is that one token is 1 kilowatt hour, and the price of the token would be fixed by the market, and it eventually assume the electricity price. When the user has to consume, the smart contract, the second smart contract, takes the tokens from the user's account and gives the energy to the house based on the data that it gets from the smart meter about consumption. And of course, these tokens can also be used when the user is outside in their car or in their phone using Internet of Things technology. So basically, the first part is the virtual layer, the second part is the blockchain layer, and the third part is the physical layer. We connect all three of them using blockchain. So here's an application mock-up, how it might look like. So it's simply like a wallet, which basically has send and receive, which means that you have now a peer-to-peer way of transferring energy either to your parents, your grandparents, your friends, or just people who are in need as a donation. It also has information about the dynamic price of energy, which will help demand response, which will alter your behavior in ways that you can move your production and consumption to benefit you. So it is incentive compatible. So that's what I said, dynamic price information. It may have monthly statistics and also options to use either tokens to pay the energy, or if you want to save the tokens for later, you can pay with the normal cash. At the end, where does blockchain fit in? It provides a peer-to-peer way of transferring energy. It has fairness, transparency, and trust, because a smart contract is public and the utility cannot use its position to manipulate it. So before I finish, I want to say there are several features which I don't have time to describe, but the one that I really like is that we can extend this concept to have tokens given to the users which act as renewable energy certificates, which can be traded in the global market. Thank you.
Then team black boxes, please make yourself ready for the UBS tracking alerting. In the meantime, one question.
So what we thought was that today we have suppliers. They get they can sell the energy to the market. So that's one benefit. They also get certificates for the greenness of the energy. So when we have this token system, the smart contract would give you energy tokens, but also certificate tokens. Energy tokens are only meant to be traded in the electricity market, so they assume the electricity price. The certificate tokens, they can be traded in the global market, which actually incentivizes the utility to buy them as certificates and give out to other consumers. So this will also incentivize the regulators to change regulations so that smaller certificates are in the market. Thanks.
Okay, then we're ready for black boxes. Your time starts now.
So, hello everyone. I have the honor to present you our project about the UBS Challenge 1 about trusted tracking and alerting of transporting goods. So, we're actually inventing our product. That's the Black Box Pro, we call it. It's a little thing that you can put inside your packages to track them. It's a tracking system and it's ensuring secure delivery. We have a multitude of sensors and the flexible configurations of these sensors in the package. We have periodic data submission and a GPS tracking so that you know where is your package. And in case of unwanted disturbance of the package, there's alert that the sender and the receiver will see. With our research, we can do with smart contracts, we can also control the money flow between the sender and the receiver. The advantages for our customers is that we have a trusted live feed where you can control like the temperature or other things that you want. We can track it all over the world and using a chain of encrypted signatures, timestamping using the Ethereum blockchain. It's also add-on compatible, like additional sensors if you want to know one special thing like a light sensor or whatever you want. And also we have a user-friendly interface where you can check this data, and it's also, the sending and receiving should be really easy. And also, finally, the difficulties that we experience. First, we have the problem that if there's a border control and they open the packages, we also have alert, but it shouldn't be one. So we have to find a solving to this problem. Further, the power consumption of the devices and sensors and when and where we will recharge these. Also, we need more information about existing sensor technologies and spoke to the producers and stuff. And last of all, we have a lack of coding experience in the blockchain world, so we have our coder, which will explain you more.
Thanks. Yeah, then we head over to the live demo. Since we... Do you hear me? Yeah. it doesn't work that way, but anyway. Since we have a little time left, I'll show you the live demo, not just the shortened version. We can directly create smart contracts from our system and submit them to the blockchain. We then get the transaction hash, which you can check on here. As soon as it works. All right, in the meantime, I can show you some other parts of the user interface. This would be the interface for customer, where they see what packages are at their station. They could actually send us, hey, we want to inspect it, at what date we want to inspect it, and some additional notes so that we won't track it as a live alert. We have a seller and buyer cockpit where they see where there are goods in transit, some statistics about it, where they delivered or not. All right, a smart contract was created on the blockchain. And now the data that you already see on the screen gets inserted into the blockchain. Let's hope that works in time. You see we have 3 data entries. They all now get submitted to the blockchain. We can actually check the address of the contract itself. I'll just see the contract creation. Actually, we also should see the data on the blockchain. With the one I just did before, we have 3 data entries. We can verify the hashes that we see, and it tells us, hey, it's all good. And we also now have the possibility to change something. Yes, we are bad, for example. We see it here, and if we do a verification again, it pulls the hashes from the blockchain again, and then it will say, hey, what we have currently on display, that's not what's in the blockchain, and so we can verify the data integrity of everything we have, besides the signing of all the data, all the messages, all the timestamping, and so on. Yeah, that's it from our side. Yeah, if you want to check out the whole project, it's all on GitHub. It all runs in the browser, so you can just try it out.
You accomplished in these 2 days. Is there one question from the jury over there? Could you move to this side, please? No questions? Okay, then we directly have B quality in the UBS Gender Equality Challenge.
Hello. Okay. Yeah.
Are you ready? Okay.
Yeah. So your time starts now.
Very warm welcome to all of you. We are really thrilled to be up here having the honor to present you our project. Our work is based on the second UBS challenge about gender equality. Today, it is getting more and more important for investors to know whether the companies they invest in treat their employees fairly, and we know that diverse companies outperform non-diverse companies. To strengthen that trend, our goal was to automate the whole process of gender equality tracking. We wanted to make it reliable and efficient. Before, getting rated with a gender equality index was rather complicated, expensive, and took a lot of time. So today we want to show you how you could make it less expensive for a company
to calculate its index within a much shorter amount of time. There are a few necessary steps for the company to take to get the index. First, they have to send us the data asked for by the rating system. That's the employer-provided data. At the same time, we set up an employee survey, and we have an app for that. This is a mock survey to show you how our product could look like. Our survey would be based on existing gender equality ratings. As you see, the employee had to create the password for a blockchain account, but the user does not have to know anything about it. It is all automated. Now, in the opposite to our employee, I'm sure you're all wondering what's below the surface. We've come up with a very smart e-voting protocol, which Noah will present you shortly.
Thank you, Lena. So now I will hopefully in a short and not too technical way actually explain to you how our e-voting protocol works. So if a company wants to apply to our service, they first send their non-verified data via a smart contract directly onto the blockchain. They will also send us the email addresses of all their employees, and we will store them on a private and secure database. Then we will send the employees a link with which they can create a blockchain account. We will then load a small amount of Ethereum onto this account so they can make exactly one transaction. Once that is done, BeQuality will create a survey contract on the blockchain, and we will send a link to the survey via an app to a chosen percentage of the employees, and they can actually fill in the survey directly onto the blockchain, so all the data gets stored on the blockchain directly. After all the surveys have been collected, we will analyze the data on the blockchain, the data from the company and from the employees, analyze it, and put it on our website. And now here's the part where we are actually better than Bloomberg, because our data is stored on the blockchain and is publicly available, so everyone can analyze it for themselves. Yet there are still some challenges. For example, we could store the public addresses instead of on our database on the public blockchain for further transparency.
Thank you, Noah. After that, the data sets are being compared to ensure validity. Of course, we want to make sure the data is not corrupted by either humans or bots. We guarantee the company gets the index it deserves. We are providing a service comparable to third-party services like Bloomberg or Equileap, observing the whole process. But we are doing it fully automated. We are not a third party. It's the smart contract. We would like to take a similar way to evaluate our data like the named existing gender equality ratings. But of course, we wanted to improve that. Here you see how our evaluation would look like. Instead of just a number, we provide a flexible system with detailed feedback to our clients. This way, they see exactly where they have to improve and where their opinions differ from their employees. And I'll hand over to Noah for a demo.
So we saw the app earlier, and this is the back end to it. So this would all be hidden to the employee or to the customers. And we enter the public addresses of the blockchain accounts that were created earlier so that the people can actually fill it in. Now we see how one employee would fill out the survey in the app, and then it gets stored now onto the blockchain. And later, when the transaction gets completed, we can actually use the public address of the blockchain account of the employee to see that the data is actually stored on the blockchain. And now we see the analytics on our website and our contact page. And that's it.
That was our solution, a smart, automated, transparent gender equality evaluator. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. That was a really good presentation. It was exactly 5 minutes on the second. Amazing. So we will then start with the token. Oh, is there one question quickly? Marcus, can you please come to this side? And we would start with E-Mine 1 for the token creator challenge.
this working? Okay, hi everyone. So we are team eMine1. I am Matija, and we will like to present you our solution to the Future ICT Token Creation Challenge, where we want to show how can we recycle electronic devices via blockchain. I just want to mention, as you can see, so we are team eMine1. There's also team eMine2 participating in the Token Obtainer Challenge. Unfortunately, they didn't qualify to the finals, but I just wanted to emphasize that we were kind of, in the last 2 days, we were working together. So the main idea is more or less being jointly made. We just kind of split the technical part. So I will show you the technical part that we did. Okay, so the challenge is electronic devices get manufactured, and then they go to the life cycle, to the consumers, to the shops. In the end, they may end up in the landfills instead of the recycling plants. We wanted to change this by somehow incentivizing all the stakeholders in the cycle with the token economy. So probably the most important part are the manufacturers, which are, in our opinion, should be very concerned about what's happening with their electronic devices. In ideal, let's say, circular economy, there should not even be a possibility of them to produce a device unless they're certain how this device will be disposed. And in our system, we solve it with our eMine blockchain system. We allow them, so we give them a system to create a token, which represents a particular device that they manufactured. So obviously there's going to be unlimited supply of this token. And the reason why the manufacturer would even want to do this is because they want to track the life cycle of the token. The consumers, when they give the device for the recycling, they get a different kind of token, which is a reward token. That token they can exchange for example, discounts from manufacturers. And also the shop owners can also, they get their own reward tokens for recycling, and they can also exchange for the discounts from the manufacturer. Ideally, we should have a circular economy, so our tokens should also be in a way circular. Unfortunately, this link over here, in real life, it doesn't exist because of the reasons which we believe could be solved with blockchain, but for now they're not. In order to allow a token generation, we use the Genesis app from the Future ICT project. As you can know, because it's built in Android and there's currently not a Java compiler for Solidity contracts, we were thinking of how to solve this problem, and then we decided, okay, so we're just going to build a web service who's going to do compiling and deployment of the contract for us. And this is why we build this eMine infrastructure, which basically consists of the Flask web framework, which handles the REST requests, then uses these token templates obtained from OpenZeppelin and Truffle in order to compile and deploy the contracts to the network. For now, we deployed it to our test network with the Ganache, but in theory, I mean, it can be deployed even to the real Ethereum network. And now we will just show you a quick demo to see how it looks like. Okay, so this is the Genesis app. As you can see, we created a new view where you can actually choose type of token that you want to create. So these are the token templates obtainable from OpenZeppelin. You can define some basic properties of the token, for example, like a name, a symbol, a maximal supply. So this, for now, this is like a quite general system, but we believe that, I mean, of course, it can be used also for the manufacturers in order to create tokens for. And this compiling step, what happens is it submits it to our web infrastructure through the REST API and awaits for the request, and now it happened. So this is an address of the contract which user can directly interact with. And this is how this request looks like. Yeah, so it's maybe a bit hacky solution, but at the end, we managed to connect everything and it works. So, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Then you could move to this side for one question, and we would have
Mob, Jane, making themselves ready.
If there's any questions. Okay. Okay, thank you. I'll consider it a compliment.
Do you hear me now? Yeah, well, okay. I would like to welcome you to our presentation. Today I'm with Jerome Sieber. My name is Elio Peck. And in the next few minutes, we want to show you how we want to revolutionize the transportation industry. Well, first off, why do we even want to transform and revolutionize the transportation industry? It's an easy guess. The transportation industry as of today is quite inefficient. We have a few facts here. There are solutions already. Problem with these solutions is they're all centralized. Centralized solutions allow companies to dictate price policies, among others. The optimum would be to have a decentralized solution, what we offer. Why? The main feature of our technology is the blockchain, and the blockchain has some key features that bring major advantages, such as, because of the decentralized structure, there is no room for abusement of price policy. Secondly, there is no room for data abusement. In the world of today, that's a huge advantage, of course. And as Sharon will point out in a few seconds, our system also has a feature that leads to eco-friendly behavior. And yeah, eco-friendly behavior is, of course, a cool feature.
Okay, thank you, Elliot. Basically, we implemented 3 different tokens. The Mob coin is our money token with which you can pay our services and which you can trade on every cryptocurrency exchange. In addition, we have 2 different tokens, the reputation token and the sustainability token. The reputation token will be awarded to you if you behave well on our platform. For example, bring back the car in one piece. And the sustainability token will be awarded to you if you use EVs or take a more ecological route. And both of those tokens will give you a discount on the initial fare if they're high. To give you a more concrete example, here we have a user that is called Thomas. He has an account with a balance and different scores. At his current position, he has the choice between 2 different cars. The green one would be an EV and the red one would be a normal car. On the basis of his score and the 2 different routes indicated over there, the 2 fares are calculated. And as you can see, one of those routes has a higher eco score, which leads to a lower fare, even the distance is longer. So now we have a short demo. Let's go here. Here we have a user, which is called the lender. Oh, you cannot see that. Oh, shit. Can you see now? Okay, cool. We have 2 different users, the lender and a user. The lender has the following profile as shown here. He has a balance and 2 scores. Now, the user arrives, and obviously he has a different profile. Okay, this took some time. Now he's at the main central station in Zurich, and he wants to go to, let's say, Alstetten, take the electric car and request a car. Based on his scores, you can see that, can you move a bit, thanks? Down here, you see the expected cost. Like, this is what he will pay for. Now he can drive, and, well, this might take some time. Now in the background, everything will be calculated, and I'm not sure if it will go through in time, but if you want, you can go to our website, which is over there, and I will post it on Slack later on, and you can play with this. Back down here, we have also a demo video, which we show like all the functionality. I didn't show all of it, so go there, interact with it, give us some feedback, whatever, have fun. Let's see if it worked. I think it's still processing. Yeah, it's still processing, and we're done.
One question here, maybe? Then change for the token obtainer challenge.
Yep.
Hello, everybody. We warmly welcome you to our presentation about the next generation of search engine. We are currently living in a world where a few major centralized working search engines on the web dominate and tunnel our view, beliefs, and the way of receiving information. All of that power is in the hand of minimal regulated companies which sell influence to other companies or individuals. Our vision is to change that using the decentralized approach of blockchain by involving the whole community of people in the web. We want to give back that power by deciding which websites are of most interest and impact to the web community. We want to give the power back to the user by introducing a specific token-based voting system. Everybody can participate, and we want to ensure that nobody can can use the system to manipulate those ratings using manpower or money.
So our search engine consists of 2 tokens, and in a nutshell, the evaluation token is used to rate the web pages. So the user has a certain amount of tokens that he can spend on the web pages. So both users and web pages have evaluation tokens, and then we also have trust tokens. They are used to quantify the user's rating credibility. We now know which user is more trustful than the others. So now I will show you a simplified example of our system. So imagine multiple users search for the same keyword and click on the same web page. So in the initial state, every user has the same amount of evaluation tokens that they can spend on the websites. So they vote, and with these votings, we can update the balance of the website. So websites with more evaluation tokens have a higher rank than others. After this process, you want to update the trust level of each user. So people who voted as part of the majority will receive trust tokens. So the trust balance reflects that they are able to vote better than others. And people who are in the minority will lose some trust tokens. With that, we can collect all the trust evaluation tokens of the users and scatter the evaluation tokens back to the user. So people who vote more carefully have more power than people who are misusing the system. And then the cycle starts again. Now we've updated balances from evaluation tokens and from the trust level. So despite the simplicity of our concept, there's still quite a lot of challenges. So we need a way to finance the transactions and also a way to avoid misuse of our system. So a technology to combat those, solve those challenges would be maybe AI for fraud detection. Maybe a user can pay for the transaction themselves by mining, and so on. So we now have a demo that we can show.
So we actually try to implement that by using the Mike's Genesis app. And what you can see here now, we show here like a user, its change, and the trust balance, and the initial evaluation balance. And here we can see one of the websites. So we use just one representative. And as all Swiss citizens, they actually love the SBB app. I mean, you can easily get you can easily find a way from like Zurich to St. Gallen, and the trains are always on time, and so we all like it, and we want to give a thumb up for that. And to see what's happening in the background, I have to close that again. And now what happened with the tokens? So if we get back those tokens, we get the balance, and we see we lost evaluation tokens, and SVB has won 7 additional evaluation tokens.
Questions over here? Did you read somebody? Questions?
Okay,
thank you. So Favelinia chain would be the next one then.
Hello? Hello, hello. This working? Stop something.
Okay, hello everyone. We are the Favelinia group. We created an app called Political, and we want to talk to you today about democracy. Democracy has been facing one of its harshest times in the past generations. The interest in voting has been low, the faith in the system has been low, And the rise of politicians who are openly against it has been high all throughout the world. And why is this happening? What's going on? We identified 3 main problems that we believe that are directly relationship to this problem. We need to create a system where people can really trust that the vote they put in the ballot is really the vote that's going to go out in the system there. Second, we need more accountability. Politicians nowadays are voted onto office, and they can spend even 4 years with no change in their power, even if they're not doing stuff that represents their citizens. And third, there is a high cost to participate in the political system because you don't really know who you can trust in there, so they need to invest a lot of money in marketing campaigns, which opens up space for economical influences in our elections. But what if this was different? It would be easy, accessible, and trustable. And what if people could participate in an easy way and know who to trust in the system? This is political. Political is a blockchain voting system that has an inherited token economy that incentivizes good political behavior. Inside of it, there are 2 main agents, citizens and politicians. The main activity that citizens do, of course, is voting, to elect people into offices, or in polls or referendums, or just market researches. Each of these agents can receive 2 different kinds of tokens. The light blue one is a reputation token, and the dark blue one is a spendable token that they receive the more reputation they have. Citizens earn reputation by participating in the system. So if they're voting or they're influencing people to come along and participate in the system, the more reputation they get. They can spend their voice tokens by, for example, posting in an associated social network or making their voices heard. Politicians earn reputation tokens by allocation. So if a citizen has a politician that they believe in, they can allocate to them some trust tokens. The more trust tokens a politician has, the more power tokens he generates. With power tokens, politicians can run market researches, can run campaigns, and make citizens know that they know who they are. With this reputation and spendable token system, people can really understand who can they trust inside a political systems and be incentivized.
So, I would like to emphasize our main focus, our possible negative outputs, and some questions that remain open in our project. First of all, we need to select the geographical area, because different countries have different bureaucracies and politicals, so by now, we decided to focus on the Switzerland political system. And of course, because we are relying in a democracy system, privacy and security. And to be honest, we needed to think how to incentivize people to participate with absolutely no monetary value involved. Regarding the possible negative outputs, we would say that it has the problem that many people do not join, especially because of some old population, because it's a complex system in blockchain. And also, we are not sure about we have enough computational system in the blockchain for everybody using the app in a dynamic way. Some questions that we didn't answer by now for the project was how to really verify that the person that is voting and using the app is really that person that she says he is. And how to test and implement in a government scale, like how to see if it really works within the government. And if we are going to network just for the project, or we can maybe use another one. We first thought about Akasha maybe, but it's open. And how can we store those high amount of data in the blockchain? So this is a sample of our app. We have an example of a citizen that is trying to vote in a poll. So here we can see, this is the front end, and then different kind of polls, and he enters, votes, and for voting and being a good citizen, he earns the token that he, after, if he wants, he can change for a spendable.
Okay, thank you very much.
systems that are already implemented.
Especially in Russia? No.
We didn't see them. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, please. Yes, we couldn't explain the whole dynamic behind it, but we envisioned something that could block these distrust countings. If politicians, for example, voted in a law that was different from from his constituents' opinion, they would have part of his trust token. But it's too complicated to explain in 5 minutes sometimes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you push, it's on. Oh, it's on.
Sure. Perhaps we can talk later and discuss it before the other groups. But thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, your time
No.
starts now.
Cool. Welcome, everyone. Wow, this was a pretty inspiring week, right? And we learned probably a lot, at least I did. But maybe it's time to relax a bit. So let's imagine, tomorrow you take the bad weather here in Zurich and you head off to Madrid. Unfortunately, you cannot really speed up on the highway because one highway is completely blocked by trucks. 140,000 trucks are standing on the highway between Zurich and Madrid. What the hell do these trucks actually doing there? All those trucks contain our food waste produced in Switzerland. So 140,000 trucks full of food waste. This is totally not in line with the sustainable goals that the UN introduced. So 30%, 1/3 of the whole food waste, of the chain in food waste is wasted. Actually, one of the targets of the goals of the United Nations is to cut the food waste by half. So that's actually our goal or our problem that we want to tackle. We from Food Saviors, we like to reduce the amount of avoidable food waste. How do we do that? We checked our supply chain and we checked actually which actors are there involved. How can we incentivize those by introducing a token system and change their behavior? So let's check our supply chain quickly, or like part of it. We see that 30% of the total food waste is caused by the food industry and 10% by retailers, for example, like supermarkets and like restaurants. So we dive into that further, and I give the word to Jan.
Yeah, thanks. I will now quickly outline the structure of our app, just so that you get the concept. First, we start on the supplier level, and we see that the action that we want to incentivize is that they reduce food waste, which we assess as the ratio of avoidable food waste by input raw material. And based on that alpha, we give out reputation tokens to the suppliers, which we use to create a ranking of the suppliers. And also, this reputation coin is coupled to an advertisement coin, which companies can use to advertise in our app, and they can also trade it with other companies if they don't need it. Second level, the supermarkets. Here we have two actions that we want to incentivize. First, similar to the suppliers, we want them to reduce food waste, here measured as the amount of wasted products divided by the total purchasing volume. And second, we also want them to buy their supplies from suppliers that have a low food waste footprint. So then based on this gamma, we give out these engagement tokens, which are used in a similar way also to create a ranking of the supermarkets. And they're also, in an analogous manner, coupled to the advertisement coin. Last but not least, consumer level. Here we have three actions that we want to motivate. First, consumers should buy low-waste products. So the delta is here a function of the performance of both the supermarket and the supplier. Second, consumers should buy products that are close to expiry date so that they're not wasted. And third, they can take part in food sharing and actually eat food that would have otherwise been wasted. For all these three actions, they can get these food coins, which they can then use to get discount on products that are close to expiry date. And these three actions are also generating engagement coins for the supermarkets so that you also motivate them to incentivize customers to perform these three actions. So that was a rough sketch. Now we have still open questions. First, how do we get secure and reliable data?
especially from the suppliers. It's very hard to get good data. So here we would use IoT devices, existing databases, and maybe also oracles. Second, our system is very complex, and we run into a sort of problems of not having enough insight. So here we would need to do some field studies and research. Third, most important question in our eyes is social pressure enough to incentivize companies to reduce their food waste? We think yes. For example, campaigns from Greenpeace have shown that it's a very powerful tool. And last but not least, what is the link to blockchain? How can we actually use blockchain for our system? And here we think it's very useful to increase the transparency and to optimize this whole incentive trading. So far the limitations and open questions and strength of our system, and now a very short outline of our software.
Yeah, so really quickly we have like here the Genesis app, it's a slightly modified version of it, and this Let's Get Started button. Yeah, it starts a simulator which basically simulates a subset of the supply chain we just showed you. Yes, here we have like 3 producers who can enter the ratios for their waste. Then this generates a ranking. And yes, similar to this, we get another ranking for supermarkets. But yeah, we don't have enough time for the live demo. But yeah, in reality, this would obviously be more complicated as it it's a lot bigger. And yeah.
SPCRT is the next one then. Maybe it's a question for the team. So because you didn't show the live demo, how many?
To ask you a question. When you're paying for something, you don't want to spend it for free, right? So you want to use the service or the thing you bought. So what's surprising me then is the fact that only 20% of the mobile phones get recycled, even though you already paid for the recycling fee within the price of the mobile phone. And even worse, I mean, there are all these valuable and critical resources in the mobile phones which we run out of them. So how do we tackle this problem? You should know by now that we love cycles in token economics. So a lot of cycles. I will explain now the system. We have these 3 tokens. The SPCR token is the currency token. And so we have a network and a platform. And when you sign up for our platform, for our network, you already get some tokens. If you have been invited from someone, also this person gets some tokens. And now you are in our system, so what can you do now? First of all, you can recycle your old phone at a telecommunication company, which will also give you some tokens. Then you can sell or buy phones with other prosumers, which will enhance the use of the phones. And now your phone breaks. Don't be sad, no problem. We have these other prosumers, which are the repairing guys, which offer the service for free. for tokens, actually. So you can go to our platform, look around, which is the closest repair guy, contact him, and then he will tell you which parts does he need, how many tokens does he want from you. If you accept, you will go and buy the parts, which also will generate you some tokens, and then you will give all the things to the repair guy, and he will return you a fixed phone. So you're happy. You got a phone fixed for free, actually. The repair guy is happy because he got some tokens, additionally also a repair token, which means now he can transform from the normal tokens and repair token to a reputation token, so he gets more clients. And he also can use these tokens for getting a discount from the telecommunication company. So he's happy, you's happy, everybody's happy actually.
All right, so what do we want to achieve with this? So we want people to act with their mobile phones in a more sustainable way and use the resources we like mine from the ground, like more responsibly. So in the end, we want that more phones get recycled, that phones get used longer, and that actually phones get upcycled. So if you want to upgrade to the new iPhone X2, and but your iPhone X still works well, you can still sell it on this market. And yeah, so we kind of have introduced like the circle of electronics.
Of course, we still have some questions and difficulties. We want to be honest with you. So yeah, we still of course need enough volunteers with these technical skills. Then we of course need the cooperation with the telecommunication companies. And we have some, maybe security issues still, but we believe in the good of the people. So, now to the demo.
All right, so we spent a lot of time and a lot of effort in actually building a working prototype. So we built we believe, a nice looking website, which is actually live. You can check it out right now. And we made a token, which is fully ERC20 compatible. And let's just check out the platform so we can log in here. So at the moment, you can just enter. So let's say you want to recycle your phone, right? So basically, you get a map of all the recycling stations which are in our system. Ideally, we want to prevent some abuse, have some sort of validation there. We don't really have an oracle for this right now, but this is like something we want to do in the future. So let's just sign this transaction with our Ethereum key. Submit this. It says success, but if you know the blockchain, it will take a bit. So I currently have 9 tokens. Let's check out some other features while we wait for the tokens to So we also have repairs. You'll have a map of repair people, repair persons, and you will put in their Ethereum address, your amount of tokens you want to transfer them, and also a functionality for selling, which works pretty much the same. This side, and we also have BIOTS as the last competitor in this category.
Is there a clicker I can use? Thank you. We have HDMI here. Microphone, you can use whichever you want. Are you the only speaker in your team?
Yeah, they left me alone.
That's sad. So this is ready already. Let's move.
Testing, IoT, blockchain, machine learning. Okay, ready to go. Can I get a show of hands? How many people have fun recycling here? Raise some hands. Thank you, guys. Thank you. What we're trying to do is incentivize recycling. So the issue at hand here is that there is a tremendous amount of plastic waste. To be exact, it's 6.3 billion tons of plastic waste we produce every year. And of those 6.3 billion tons, we only recycle 9% of that. And so the question is, how do we incentivize people to recycle more? You actually have probably already seen recycling systems in place in countries like Germany, Sweden, and the US, where they have machines where you can walk up with your bottle, put the bottle in, and then they'll pay you a fixed amount of money back. And so in the US, approximately 37% of plastic bottles are recycled, and they give 5 cents back per bottle. In Sweden, it's about 15 cents per bottle, and in Germany, it's about 25 cents per bottle. And in Germany, you see about 93% of people are recycling plastic bottles. So what you actually see is as you incentivize more, you reward more for recycling, people are actually recycling more plastic bottles, which is what you'd expect. So our solution is, how do you make it more fun to recycle? How do you add even more value on top of that fixed initial amount that you get back from these machines? And our idea was to create a lottery, where basically once you deposit a bottle into our machine, then you get back a fixed amount of money, like you do in these countries I just mentioned, but you also get a certain number of tokens back. And with these tokens, you have a higher chance of winning a lottery. So basically, this is how the system works, is the consumer will go up to a machine, and that can be a machine that's already in place. For example, one of these machines in Germany, we can upgrade using our technology, or we could deposit our own machine in a remote location. And so somebody would approach this machine, they would bring their plastic bottle, they'd authenticate with their fingerprint, so we use biometrics to authenticate people, and so they can kind of access their wallet on the blockchain. And they can deposit bottles to update the number of tokens on their account, and also update the amount of money they're going to receive for these bottles that they put in. And then once a certain number of bottles have been recycled in total, so let's say the machines received 10,000 bottles in total, then the lottery will take place and a winner will be chosen, and then they can collect real money for their bottles. So you can imagine, for example, in Germany, if right now you get 25 cents back for a bottle, in this example, maybe you get 20 cents back and 5 cents goes off to the lottery. And so that 5 cents will accumulate over time, and people kind of have more of an incentive to play this game, because it's following the lottery model, which is already a proven model, and it plays on human psychology a bit, so it'll actually incentivize people more to play the game. And so from a simplified technical perspective, how our system works is that, like I said before, a user will approach the system, he'll authenticate with his fingerprint, then he'll have an object, in this case a plastic bottle, but you can also extend it to glass bottles, aluminum cans, you can kind of extend it to different kinds of waste. And then we'll take a picture of this bottle and upload it to Microsoft Cognitive Services, where it uses AI to determine if it's a recyclable bottle or not. Then if it is recyclable, then you'll receive an update on your account, and you'll also receive the tokens like I mentioned before. And the lottery, we use Oraclize to request an actually, well, pseudo-random number, but a better random number than you can generate otherwise, and then that picks the winner. And so here's a demo of how our app works. So here, you can see somebody logs into their account using their fingerprint. And we have this on our smartphone now, and this will kind of mimic the machine itself. So you can see you have one bottle that's been deposited at one of our machines. Here, somebody's trying to recycle an apple, which is a no-go. So now it's uploading to Microsoft Cognitive Services. It's waiting, and then it says, OK, that's not OK. You can't recycle an apple. And then in this case, we're trying to recycle a plastic bottle here. A shout out to BIOTS, by the way, great drinks. And then here you see it says OK, and in this case you're actually given 3 recycling bottles. That's just for the demo. Here you can process the, you can see it's mining the block now. And once that's confirmed, he can log back into his account and he'll check to see if he won this lottery. And so in this case he won, and he can go redeem this at a collection point. So this is the team, and thank you for your time. And if you invest in us, it won't be a gamble. Thanks. Any questions?
We'll then come to the open challenge. Hackers for Bucks, please. First one then. Are there any questions? Not now? Okay, thank you.
Yes? So in this case, we use the Android phone, but in actuality, you'd have a machine there that you'd place the bottle in, and then just like in at one of the existing machines now, it'll just collect the bottle, so you don't have a chance to game the system. Thanks.
Musst du drücken oder so grün lichtet?
Muss ich es gedrückt
Ja,
halten?
nein,
oder?
dann los.
So einfach.
Hallo.
Ah, gut.
Okay, starts now.
Good morning. We'd like to, or good afternoon. We'd like to present to you the concept that we developed over the course of the past 2 days, Democracy 2.0. So why Democracy 2.0? Well, because Democracy 1.0 is flawed. How does our current voting system work? A person or a citizen who is eligible to vote casts a ballot, and then all the ballots that have been cast are counted by central authority. The main problem with this system is that it's prone to manipulation. If the central authority is not trustworthy, it can manipulate votes, and in fact, unfortunately, there have been many cases of vote manipulation in recent years in Europe, but also worldwide. Wow, this microphone. Anyways, our idea is to transfer the entire voting process onto the blockchain, essentially tokenizing voting rights. Every citizen would be able to generate his own private key, which would give him access to one token, which represents his right to vote. This would lead to a completely decentralized system and essentially eliminate electoral fraud. Now Claudio will go into the details of how the system works.
All right, so we coded everything in Solidity, so it runs on the Ethereum blockchain. And as you can see, we have two main smart contracts. One is the voting system, one is the proposal system. So the way a vote works is you have a managing entity who can create a voting system. And a voting system is basically a pool of eligible voters. For example, everybody in Switzerland with a Swiss passport over 18. Then the manager can create a vote. And along with a vote, he creates a special kind of token for that vote. And he creates exactly as many tokens as there are eligible voters. And every voter gets a token, and with that token, you can go to the ballot and you can cast your vote. So it's basically your authorization. On top of that, we built a concept called liquid democracy. So if I really don't know anything about the topic to be voted on, for example, economics, and my friend Adrian here knows a lot about it, and I trust him, I can conceptually give him my token and he can vote for me. If I then realize that I don't really agree with his decision, I can later go back and change the vote because it's ultimately still my vote up until the deadline of the vote. What the proposal system is basically it's a mechanism for the people that they can themselves decide what is going to be voted on. So everybody can create a proposal, and once enough other people express their support for that proposal, it gets put to a vote before everyone. Now, if you know how the Ethereum blockchain works, you might ask, who pays for the gas? Because right now, voters would have, if they vote, they have to pay for the gas themselves. And we don't want people to pay to have to vote. So what we did is the manager has to fund the voting system, or for every vote, he has to put some ether in it. And if you vote, you get back some ether. Once to cover for your gas cost, and secondly, also a little bit more to incentivize you to actually go vote. And because everything runs on the blockchain, we also have a certain level of fraud detection built in.
So while we believe that our system is an important step towards improving our democracy, still some problems remain. As Claudio said, it is possible to transfer votes, so unfortunately bribery would remain a very big concern. In addition, in order to access the tokenized voting right, every citizen needs a private key. If he loses his private key, then he cannot access his tokenized voting right. So we need to develop a secure method of saving or storing private keys. And lastly, internet access. If not all citizens have internet access in the country, it will be very, very difficult to implement the system. In the future, we would like to further refine our concept. We would like to develop a way how to incentivize politicians to keep their promises. And we also believe that it would be important to actually incentivize people to go vote. Well, fortunately, I can tell you that we managed to solve this problem this morning. We can explain that further after the presentation.
So to the outputs of the project and our service to the community, we developed a system of contracts which we mentioned, and during the process of development, we also created a JavaScript NPM module, a small library that simplifies the token creation, where you can just create and configure a ERC20 standardized token and deploy it with a single function without any knowledge of Solidity or how the blockchain works. Thank you.
And then the last one, JSON chain.
Oh, okay. So, hello everyone. We developed JSON chain, which is a decentralized encrypted messaging system that works on top of a public blockchain that you can use to send the encrypted messages to each other, and also it has some additional guarantees that gives it some pretty cool use cases. So, okay, so the problem that we're trying to solve is that I'm sure a lot of you, when you were developing your blockchain applications, ran into the problem that everything on a blockchain is completely visible. And solving this, you can encrypt it, but solving the encryption problem is not as trivial as it might seem, because you'll definitely run into some problems. So what we do is we sit on top of the public blockchain layer and provide you with the capability to send private messages. And the interesting thing is we not only guarantee that, so by default, only you and the person you send it to can see the message, and nobody else even knows there's a message being passed with our system, which was really hard to implement, but we got it down pretty well. But that's by default, and now what you can also do is you can provide third parties with information. You can provide them with visibility of previous messages that have been sent. So for example, if you forward a message to someone, you can prove that you didn't tamper the message that you're forwarding, that it's still the original message, right? So we have a pretty cool use case. Am I standing in front of it? Okay, so imagine Mercedes cars have sensors in them that track how much kilometers the car has been driving around. And Alice owns a car, and she wants to sell it to Bob, and she wants Bob to know how much kilometers she has, because that's part of the deal, right? But Bob doesn't trust Alice with providing him with the correct number, right? Bob only trusts Mercedes and not Alice. Alice can read her mileage whenever she wants. I mean, she owns the car, but Mercedes provides like for example, Mercedes can actually charge a price for this. Mercedes can provide a proving capability, which Alice can use to prove to Bob that her kilometer number is correct. And the great thing about this is Mercedes doesn't even know there's a car being sold. Mercedes doesn't know where its proof is actually being used. And all of this whole process is completely invisible to anybody else who is on this network. So that was an example of like a quality control use case, but you could also build like a simple messenger, like email or something. You could implement a supply chain, a rental system, or think about auditing and other use cases. And really, we're beginning to explore more and more what kind of use cases we can get. So, I mean, over the last 2 days, we kept coming up with new use cases and completely refining our system and making changes. And I'm sure in the future, we can find a lot more exciting use cases. And yeah, we can, another thing that we would have to do is, so our framework relies partly on on-chain technology and off-chain technology. And the off-chain technology right now is basically just pseudocode, because we ran into some pretty annoying JavaScript issues, basically. So completing the API is something that we need to do. And we also have this idea that another one of our proofs that we can provide is a proof of destination, so that a sender can prove to a third party that a message has been sent to someone. Yeah, we're gonna work really hard on continuing this in the report, and we hope that you take a look at it and find other use cases, because we think this is basically our new religion. This is really cool.
Is there one question? Andre?
Still on.
We implemented all the Solidity code is there, but we've been making changes to it the whole time, because
We've been thinking of new ways to break it and then ways to fix it. But basically, the functionality that we have right now works. We have all the on-chain technology, we have it down. And the off-chain technology is very well described in on our Git. You can look at it.
Thank you very much. So a big applause for all the projects again. So then for the participants, there is lunch break until 2:30. At 2:30 we start again in here. All the judges, I hope you had a good breakfast, because we already gonna meet again at 2 o'clock sharp in the F50.3. So you only have a shorter break, unfortunately. 2 o'clock F50.3, and please already have your favorites ready per category.